Warmer weekend in store, as well as more Sierra storms, but we've got a cooler Father's Day outlook. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods, and we're breaking down all the weather changes that we'll continue to see over the course of about the next week and a half or so. Temperature trend has been quite favorable. Picked up that nice Delta breeze over our Thursday, dropped our highs to right about average, if not slightly below it, after reaching those highs in the mid-90s on Wednesday. But that's really the pattern that we've been under, kind of fluctuating between that onshore flow, dropping the temperatures, but overall it's been a fairly persistent pattern under this ridge of high pressure. Now that will build in stronger for the weekend, resulting in warmer weather ahead. Also, an expansion of our moderate heat risk. And now that affects most people who are sensitive to heat. Many people really not impacted by it, just kind of uncomfortable to say the least, especially doing outdoor activities. That will stay in place through our Monday outlook. But again, we are going to be tracking a couple of different weather features into the weekend and early next week. Weekend forecast for the valley, highs will hover right around the low to mid 90s, pretty close to what we expect this time of year, but above those averages of about 86. A light breeze kicks in on Sunday. That only drops us about a degree or so. Well, our weather playlist always on. Download that ABC 10 Plus app for free wherever you stream for free on TV. Extended forecast explainers, weather and climate specials, all on ABC 10 Plus. Our significant fire potential, this is kind of the time of year that we start really focusing on a shift from wet weather into the drying weather and when our fire risk will be highest. It will mainly be in the northern part of the valley. Only moderate to dry conditions. So despite the fact we are seeing slight warming in the forecast, there's not a huge risk of big wildland fires. We'll be monitoring, though, especially with lightning in the outlook as well. Saturday's forecast continuing to showcase that expansion of the risk of thunderstorms throughout the Tahoe Basin. And then Sunday, it actually migrates a bit more to the north and a little bit farther off to the west. Now that will press into the foothills. Again, where we see lightning, we always need to make sure there's no smoldering spots with any new lightning sparked fires. We see that typically a little bit deeper into the summer season once all that fuel gets very, very dry. Lightning safety, a lot of folks head to the hills, especially during this time of year, escaping the valley heat. You want to avoid beach and picnic shelters, avoiding the top of hills and open fields, especially with camping and hiking. You want to make sure you're off the hills by the afternoon. Stay away from water and avoid trees or tall objects, all of which can be dangerous locations. Another feature that we love this time of year are our many beautiful waterways. Our major reservoir supply levels are still looking quite nice. We're well above average. Oroville 100% full. That's right, all the way to the top without being dangerously full. Most of the reservoirs will help to feed us with the water, quite frankly, during our dry season when we won't get anything in the way of water from the sky or snow melt. All of that starts to come to an end. So what we see right now is what we're going to get all the way through the summer season. Everything looking really good. Our largest reservoir is Lake Shasta, and that is near capacity. But again, we're starting to see some of those releases happening. So we're going to see some of that starting to fall. This is the average right here in the baby blue, and you can see how it peaks right around May 1st and then starts to fall off here heading towards the summer months as we draw on that resource. Lake Oroville is our second biggest reservoir in the state, and you can see how it's a near capacity, 3.4 million acre feet full of water. We'll start to see those water levels going down as well. Folsom, it's a smaller one. Always like to showcase that because a large part of the Sacramento metropolitan area relies on that as a water resource, not only for drinking water and irrigation, but also for recreation, especially during the summer months when it tends to get quite toasty. As far as our average precipitation, it really drops off here. We are nearing the point where we see the driest conditions in the year, July, August, and September, where conversely we also see the warmest temperatures starting to build in. July, our average high goes up to 92.6 degrees. Preventing a spark. When we see the drop off in precipitation, the rise in temperatures, it does start to elevate the risk of wildfires. Metal blades plus rocks equals fires. If you're doing any mowing this weekend, just make sure it's not in dry grass or weeds. That can also start a spark. Properly dispose of cigarettes and matches, and watch for those dragging vehicle parts. This is the time of year many folks like to do some RVing, perhaps towing a boat. Just make sure everything's secure behind the vehicle. The Go Bag 5 Ps. They're people, pets, papers, prescriptions, and photos. Always a good list to keep in mind. Make sure that backpack is ready to go if you start to see the need to evacuate. We've seen this periodically, actually, throughout even the past couple of weeks. We had a couple of grass fires that caused some evacuations with some homes that were threatened. They were able to get the containment, but still, that just showcases how quickly things can develop. As far as our future wind gusts, we see them really pick up during the afternoon. There's just a little hint of that continuing into the weekend forecast, just less of so, especially on Saturday, where we see basically just a little trickle of that onshore flow. It picks up slightly for our Saturday afternoon, Sunday forecast, but again, it's just not much of anything to take us through the weekend forecast compared to what we saw on Thursday, where those winds were really pulling in nicely from the Pacific, bringing those temperatures down. But for right now, a little bump up in temperatures here into the weekend forecast. The nice thing is just a little bit of hint of breeze will keep us out of widespread 100. So we'll take what we can get, although it's not going to be super strong. At least it keeps us out of those triple digits widespread throughout the valley. Our river temperatures are unfortunately still dangerously cold in some areas. American River below Folsom still sitting at 56 degrees, and then Tuolumne near LaGrange 54. Sierra and foothill waters, if you're doing any hiking, just be aware. Fall in the water up there. It is very cold, enough to begin to lose control of our muscles. Even when we get to about the 60 to 70 degree range, it's enough to cause difficulty to breathe. We saw one rescue happen on the American River. Somebody fell off a raft. Kayaker coming by was able to assist, but that's not always the case. So first responders always like to double down on this. Life vests when near the water. Always wear them. Keep a close eye on children. One little slip and those waters are fast or cold. They can really pull somebody quite quickly downstream. Avoid alcohol, and we talked about the cold water impacting breathing. Strong currents equal tough rescues, and sometimes people just can't get to somebody fast enough to make that rescue happen. We are 9 days and counting away from Father's Day. This is a fun time of year. We've got Juneteenth just around the corner, as well as the summer solstice and the 4th of July. Busy time of year. Not too many weather impacts that we're going to have to deal with outside of just little bumps in our temperatures that will be driving those readings upwards, and the risk of thunderstorms in the Sierra. Now, that starts to subside a little bit into next week as that ridge starts to move its way eastward, kind of takes a little bit of the heat away. We'll still have a tinge of that heat early on in the work week, but then as we turn our attention deeper into the middle of the month, a likely cooler setup for Northern California, likely wetter developing throughout the Pacific Northwest. So that kind of sets the stage heading into our Father's Day weekend. Highs for tomorrow in the 80s for this year. We kick off the weekend in the 80s and 90s for the foothills. Across the coast, we're in the 60s, whereas the valley still sitting in the 90s. A little bit warm for this time of year, nothing extreme, but we will see kind of 100s peppered in there throughout the Central Valley. Colusa hitting that hot spot at 101. Risk of thunderstorms on and off for the Tahoe Basin through the weekend outlook. Otherwise, mostly sunny conditions and warmer. Highs near 90 for the Sierra, or the foothills, I should say. And then for the coast, we're looking at highs in the 60s. I'll look at our 10-day forecast, and we started off with our 3-day forecast. Highs are warming into the low to mid 90s. We'll continue to see that into early next week. But again, heading into Father's Day and that weekend, a little bit cooler, where highs are dropping into the 80s.